We have exchanged buildings, and so that will give us double the square footage, and right now we're doing a major renovation that we're hoping it'll be done by December.
That's great.
Okay, it is 6 o'clock. So I'm going to call this meeting to order, the Tahlequah Public School regular meeting for August 19th, 2025. Call to order, recording of members present. We have 4 members present, and Dr. Kaufman is absent this evening. Miss her. So I guess that might be too much information. Pledge of Allegiance, do we have anyone scheduled? Just ask.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item D, something I'm very excited to see this presentation. It's Tiger's Roar, and we have our AP students. Are these students from last year?
Yes, ma'am. So these are, we had 9 students pass 3 or more AP exams in May.
Wow.
Which classifies them as AP scholars.
Yeah.
We have a couple that aren't here. In the first, so I got their names if that's okay.
Yeah, and this is our high school principal, Mr. Jordan.
Yes, thank you. So the first one is Eli Beatty. He's not here. He just got a job at Chili's, so he felt like he couldn't ask off. But he passed 4 tests. He passed AP Biology, AP Literature, AP Pre-Calculus, and AP US History. We do have Daniel Bright. I saw him here. So Daniel passed 4 AP exams: AP Calculus, AP Language, AP Literature. That one I would like to say he made a 5 on. Which is
On the AP.
And he also passed AP Physics and Mechanics. Felix Liu is here. Felix passed 4 exams: AP Language, AP Literature, AP Pre-Calculus, and AP US History. We have Dana Reddick. She passed 4 exams: AP Language, AP Literature, AP Pre-Calculus, and AP US History. Danielle Schneider. She passed 3 AP exams: AP Language, AP Literature, and AP US History. Next is Gracie Rollins. Gracie passed 3 exams: AP Literature, AP Language, and AP US History. Alyssa Fong. She passed 3 AP exams: AP Calculus, BC, which is, I read, a harder test than AB, AP Language, and AP Literature, which she made a 5 on, a perfect score. Xander Moss graduated in May, so he is now at his university, so he's not here. But he passed 3 exams: AP Calculus, the BC version, AP Language, and AP Literature. He made a 5 as well. And then Ava Jordan passed 3 exams: AP Literature, AP Language, and AP US History. It's good, and I would also like to add, just on top of this, not only are there teachers that did a phenomenal job that prepared them for this, we also had 14 other students that passed 2 exams.
So we have how many total who passed exams?
Total, I don't have the number, but passing multiple tests, we had 23.
Wow, that is.
AP scholar, is there a specific scholarship connected to that, or what is that?
I don't think there's a scholarship, but it's a designation they can have, put it on scholarship applications and that sort of thing.
So is it through the college boards, the AP college boards that
Yes,
gives that designation?
yes, ma'am, they should have received an email stating as much that they are AP scholars.
They also then, from passing the AP class, they don't have to take those courses when they go to college, correct?
Exactly. The students that passed AP Lit and AP Lang, they do not have to take freshman composition in university. They also don't have to take English 4.
Let's get their picture. Get Mr. Jordan with them. This is like when y'all were doing the flag salute when you were little. Right in there.
Like you like it.
And then, here we go. You can, thank you all very much.
I wanted to add that, and the first AP class that was started at Gallup High School, and I think it was in 94, 95. One morning, the principal came down the hall in the old language arts building where I was teaching, and he said, "We're gonna start AP courses. We're gonna start with you. I have you signed up for this weekend in SMU in Dallas to take a workshop. And you want a school car, or do you want," and I was just, and to be honest, I wasn't familiar with AP. I didn't even know what it was. And I kept saying, "Well, I don't think I can go this weekend. My children," and he was like, "No, gotta have this before I can sign you up, and we're starting AP," and I said, "Okay." And, but it was just such a wonderful program. And, one of our Spanish teachers, when I was at open house, Mrs. Gibson is what I'm thinking.
Jordan is
Jordan,
now.
okay. She said, "Mrs. Walker, do you recognize me?" And I said, "Well, I do recognize you, but I cannot think of your maiden name at the time." And so she said, "Well, I had AP Lit with you." And I said, "You made a 5, didn't you?" And I remember the kids who made a 5 on that, and I, those were few and far between, so. But I could still name right now about 6 of them, and my memory's gotten bad, so. But it's very important, and that test, none of those tests are easy. I mean, it takes a high level of competency in all of those areas, so, congratulations. Those tests are not for sissies.
Thank you all. Congratulations.
Yeah, if I were you, I would do so. After say, Mrs. Crawford also taught AP Lang.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay, but we would rather.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. Be proud of children, yes.
Lots of seats up here.
Education is such so. Well, they had so many.
Yes, well, Mark had reached out to me and let us know, the results and we get this is something we can celebrate.
Yes.
I don't think
Not that kind of turnout, and we have been trying to build these AP programs over the years has been very difficult. So,
Those AP, and I'm sorry, those AP, our AP, literature teacher had 100% pass rate.
Our second year in a row, wasn't it?
Second year in a row, I believe, and then we didn't have enough to make an AP Lang class, but we still had about the same amount of kids take the AP language test, and they all passed it, 90%. So,
So they don't have to be in the class, anyone can take the test? Is
Yeah.
that, but they
You don't
have
even
a
have to
class
take
that
it,
is,
they can take
right, but they have a class that is advanced for those who plan
and
to
so we
take it.
felt like, or Mrs. Wade felt like the AP literature class would prepare them well enough for the AP language. 90% of those kids that took the AP language passed the test without taking it. Because of her.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
a little, yes, and who, was this, who did the AP Lit this year?
Mrs. Wade,
Mrs. Wade? Wow. That's impressive.
yes.
Did Mrs. White teach too?
Mhm. I'm not sure if she had
The pre,
she may have had the pre, I can't remember, or she had another group of them.
Yeah, I think she had, I think they both had.
Both
They
teams
had, each of them had.
both
They had
of
two
them each did.
classes.
and what's so important with that is the vertical alignment. So it's a matter of if, you know, 9th, 10th, 11th, as they come up the ranks to you, if you have your students at a certain level, then you can fly. And that is really wonderful. And Ms. Gibson, Ms. Jordan, Spanish teacher, and her first name is
Wendy.
Okay. She said, well, you know, I had the ace lineup of English teachers. I had Dr. Searcy, who wasn't Dr. Searcy at the time. I had Mrs. Crawford, and then I had you, and they were taking the AP Lit at that time as juniors, which even one more year of maturity as seniors made a huge difference, but it was either get them then or they're headed off to, concurrent
Yes.
enrollment. So I'm just so impressed with how the AP programs have run.
Those teachers, they should be proud, very
Yeah.
much so.
I have one more question. So you said they don't like the literature or the language, they don't have to take then 2 classes in college, but do they have, is it credit for
They
that?
get vouchers.
So they get 6 hours, if they pass that test, then they get 6 hours of credit.
Yes.
And so and I wondered about that only because at the end of the year when we do honors, there's this big split. There's one group of kids that have a lot of AP classes, and then there's one group that have a lot of concurrent classes, and there's usually a couple that maybe have both, but I didn't know how. And I am interested, I think I've asked this question before, I'm interested in understanding how that impacts GPAs as well, because it seems like there's a very distinct kind of impact on your GPA, because you'll have the kid that has 33 hours of concurrent, and then you'll have a kid who had 5 AP, and I understand that they're weighted differently, but
Some are, not all concurrent classes are weighted
okay,
as a 5-point class, but some are.
and
They have to
all
be ones that
AP
have
are AP.
Opposite, so like the English goes against the AP, so that would be
Personal
weighted.
health.
So if it's like
Yes.
history going against the history AP, so it would be
So if
weighted.
you take a concurrent class that is also an AP class, it's weighted. If you
Right.
take a concurrent class that is not an AP class, it is not weighted.
Yes.
But then the concurrent that's 3 hours for the class versus that you can take 2 a year. So do your college hours equal out, so you take an AP class for a whole year. And if you pass that test, you get 6 hours, but you can take a English 1 and English 2 if you're allowed to take that one semester in the second. So you're still gonna get 6 hours in that same hour of weekly class.
But good
Is that-
planning says, take the APs and then take concurrent that don't offset the APs.
Yes.
So then you get both.
I mean, part of
So
this
you
is
get
personal,
6
because I'm
hours
thinking about
here
the
and-
NEMO
Well,
kids when they get to high school, but,
In
aside
the
from
School of
that.
Math and Science, that is weighted.
Yeah.
And that, if you go to Zotech, do the School of Math and Science.
Well, it's really an interesting topic, because I don't know that, just, everyday family understands
Yes.
how to, go through that.
And access it all.
Yes,
They
so,
get through.
it's something for us to think about,
I
for
would
middle
like
school,
to
high school,
see
so
some
they
kind of
understand.
guide, so you have these kids in 8th grade who are making good grades and they're smart and they're making decisions about which classes to enroll in. And not that you know, I think there's trade-offs because you may not be able to get as high a GPA, but you may be able to get more credit hours, and that may be more important to some kids than what their GPA is. And I know that we have, that everyone helps them with this, but for a family who's not in this and, you know, their parent's not a teacher, they don't have someone in higher education, kind of that decision-making, you know, they may think, I need to take more weighted classes because I need a higher GPA to get me in college, but if you can already have 2 years of college done when you graduate, that may be the more important thing for some of those kids, so if we
Yeah,
can,
financially and other.
you know, some kind of little guidebook that we give those kids in 8th grade for those, you know, that are really kind of making decisions on what 4 years from now looks like when they're freshmen, because that's when they have to start picking those classes and making those decisions.
You know, I think it's important also to think about, and I oftentimes, when I would go in and talk to classes, try to convince the kids before they signed up. I think your AP classes at the high school level, in many ways, you get much more help, much more individualized attention. I felt that we went much more in depth than they ever did with the freshman comp in even 1 and 2.
Right.
And many times that would be taught by a teacher assistant and who really didn't have much training. And so I always felt, as far as getting the knowledge and skills content for students, so that when they go on to school and they're writing in college and they're writing papers and working on, you know, going up master's degrees and PhDs and law degrees, where you really need for medical degrees this information, that it was more advantageous for the students to take those AP courses versus the concurrent classes. But that,
Students would come back and tell you,
yes,
I never had any trouble with writing even all the way through college because of the base I got. And I have students that would go concurrent, come back to me if they can help me.
yes.
And they weren't getting, and if you don't get that base before you go, you never catch up. You're gonna struggle all the way through if they stay in.
Is there also a ACT component of not having to take college classes, or is that if you score a certain on a section, that's something?
There is a writing component on the ACT that, is that can raise your score?
I thought there was one of
Take
those.
plus credit.
But no,
As far as I know.
Don't you
But
not-
can you get,
you
can
get
you not
honors.
have to take it though? Is that
Not if you take one.
so if you score so much on the part of the ACT, you still have to take one if you haven't had it? I thought there was some correlation to that.
You don't get scored at high enough, then you have to take it.
You have to take, yes, zero, I knew
That's-
that, but I thought there was some
You don't wanna do
alternative to
that.
So you don't clap out a high score on the ACT?
No.
I don't think so, I don't.
Well, Mr. Batson, did your son clip out of anything on a perfect ACT score?
I don't think the ACT score clipped him out, but he got out of. Yes,
It helped with scholarships. though.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, C, public to be heard, and I think we do have public to be heard, so bear with me as I read these instructions. A resident wishing to address the Board of Education must fill out a form for the meeting and submit it to the board clerk. The speaker is to move to the lectern on being recognized by the board president and give his or her full name. And we're not including the address anymore. We are not, okay. The speaker will be allowed 4 minutes to address the board. Public comments will be limited to the first 5 individuals who sign up to speak and will not exceed 20 minutes total. The board and administrative staff will not respond to questions or comments at the meeting. The resident may receive a written response as soon as possible. Questions and complaints relating to employees of the district, all caps, will not be permitted at this time. Such questions are to be referred to the superintendent at another time. Presentation or discussion of matters which are currently under legal review will not be permitted. And we have Mr. Nathan Reed, who is going to speak.
Are you gonna come to all of our meetings?
Back again.
Make it a monthly.
Nathan Reed, I brought some help today because if you haven't decided to vote yes on the school bond yet, she has a nice scar on her forehead that you can't say no to, and so you have to say vote yes because that's her sequoia scar. So I brought help today to get my point across. But I just wanted to come and give just a quick update on some of the things we've been working on, the school bond. So we had a couple of volunteers that were able to come to open house at some of the sites and help hand out some of the voting things. We've got one thing that I definitely want you guys to know about. I know Tanya will be there presenting. Our Tahlequah Area Roundtable is on August 28th from 5 to 6:30. And you guys will be the main attraction for that night. Have you guys have some videos going and things. It's gonna be at ICTC. They just completed a new remodel, so it's a great way to get in there and see that new site, but use some of their new facilities to have you guys up there talking about the school bond. I know that you won't be saying vote yes, but I will be there proudly saying vote yes on this one. And Tanya and I got to do a video that is almost done, and it'll be getting out there on our social media pages. And it was a nice, kind of like the cheerleader back and forth, and she was like, vote, and I was like, yes, she said vote, I said yes, and so it's a great back and forth. It's great to be able to stand here and ask everybody that can possibly vote to vote yes on this school bond. The last thing that I wanted to say is thank you, because we got to hold some of the best events over the last couple of weeks for Tahlequah Public Schools and Cherokee County Schools. It is a blessing to the chamber, to our board, to our ambassadors, to the community to get to feed back into you guys and pour back into you guys. I said it on stage, the passion and the love that you guys give to our students. It just feels great to get up there and give some of that back. I think we gave away over $10,000 in door prizes between the two events, and that was all straight from the community. So we loved it. We appreciated getting to give back to you guys, and so I just want to say thank you for letting us come in and be a part of your back to school events.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. We thank you for helping.
Yeah. It was too hot at soccer practice, so her sister's having soccer practice. I said, you can hang out with me.
She is a glowing example of why we do need the bond to do some of those projects.
That's right. That's why I said, I'm not above it. Like, she's got a scar straight on her forehead, newspaper, perfect example. Got it. I'd be like, this is why you vote yes. I'm not above that.
Good night. Item D, discussion and vote to approve the minutes for the previous meeting, July 22nd, 2025, regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Nemo.
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And aye. Item E, deputy treasurer to report. And discussion and vote to approve the monthly financial reports.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Our bank balance as of July 31st was $16,329,923.61. General fund receipts for July was $1,550,643.51. Building fund, $4,185.03. Sinking fund, $19,681.30. So that brought our general fund balance to $7,701,603.11. Building fund, $7,256,105.57. Bond funds, $382,578. Sinking fund, $80,133.12. Activity fund was $1,106,783.94. Utilities, So our electric was $11,047.12 less from last July to this July.
How much was it?
$11,047.12. Gas was $37.16 more, and that was due to a price increase in gas. And the water was $781.29 more, and that's due to watering the softball field stuff over there.
Did we think there was a leak at some point?
Yes, but they found it.
Okay.
Yeah. It was at transportation, is where it was.
Okay.
Yeah, or something. But they fixed it.
And Ms. Crawford had a question about the electricity, the bills, utilities at Heritage, and we had just talked about, we'll do a little bit more research, but Heritage is all electric. It's all glass, and it's just more expensive.
No insulation.
Not the way I probably would have designed it myself. Beautiful, but not very economically friendly. So, but she did ask, are there other things that we could do to help with that? And that's something that, I've made note of, and then we'll, I'll talk to Brad about and see if there are any ideas, things we can do.
Question? Do I have a motion on this?
Second.
Any discussion, any further discussion? Aye. Dr. Eversole, Mrs. Crawford, and aye. Item F, Principal Director's Report, and we're going to hear from federal and special programs. So we're gonna have Lacey Wilson and Nikki Boyd.
Okay.
Did you guys purposely call it?
Third month in a row.
And did we coordinate?
Without me.
Showed up like this.
All four of them were
Y'all did two as well.
We got in trouble all the way.
She didn't have a dress on.
Even Sherry got it. Sherry got the message.
Sherry was supposed to send it to you.
I'm not bitter though.
As an AP mama, I wanna add, it's really nice when you go to add those credits onto their transcript, it gives you the cost as much.
I'm very, very proud of them.
Oh, awesome, that's
It
amazing.
was awesome.
It's an amazing group.
Okay, we ready? We're gonna whip through this, and here's why. We know you already know all the great things that are happening around here, but we do wanna showcase one more time and let you know what we have going on. So district demographics haven't changed a lot. We do not do the free and reduced lunch applications, so we go off of our economically disadvantaged form, so that would be one thing that I would point out there. Federal programs, we have not received our allocations this year yet. So I gave you the information from last year. We will have a similar setup. We're hearing that we're going to have about the same money, so that's kind of how we're planning. Once again, we're gonna try to consolidate our money. We'll pay for all of pre-K out of Title I, and then we'll pay for several instructional coaches and that type of thing. And that's where we don't spend money on things, we spend money on people, with our federal funds in this pot of money. Go ahead. Oh, do you wanna talk?
Just, we were able to submit for the McKinney-Vento grant today, so that was something that we weren't sure was gonna be released or, something possible this year, so fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Looks good, we had the levy of the state review it, so hopefully we'll get 60,000 for the next 3 years.
Okay, nice.
What are the parameters or regulations or stipulations on that grant?
On the McKinney-Vento, it just, services have to go towards our McKinney-Vento students. So we have part of our DHS contract that we pay out of that, we pay a portion of my salary out of that, and then we have usually 10,000 plus for supplies. School supplies, shoes, clothing,
Glasses,
haircuts.
things that they need. These are the same district grants. We did have one just roll off. We had a big grant roll off that we had for 6 years, which was the school climate grant. The other ones are the a continuation, except for there's two on there, the TSET Discovery Grant. And I do wanna point out that Desiree Bloomer and Megan Dreadfulwater actually wrote that grant. We didn't pay a grant writer, and I'm very, very proud of them, and definitely wanna give them a little shout out there. And so that will be kind of like the farm to school, but we included the area schools. And so I think it's really cool that they'll be able to take farm to school out to Lowry and Grandview. And you know, anything we do in our grants, we really try to include the other schools, because I would feel, I wouldn't even know how to function, I think, in a school without all of the resources. So it just feels silly not to include them.
And there are
So,
babies, they
yeah,
come to us.
they come
And they end up
Yes.
with us.
So we try to include them in everything, and then we just found out,
Who wrote the T-set?
so Megan Dreadfulwater and Desiree Bloomer. Yeah, they did a really great job, very, very proud of them. And then the opioid abatement grant, we just found out that we got that, and the email that we got said, you received part or whole of the grant, and I was like, gee, thanks. So, and anyway, then they resent it to Tanya and said, you actually got the whole amount for 3 years, so I was glad. And that pays for one of our social workers, and then part of our family and community engagement director to make sure that we are talking about opioids and drug addiction and getting that out. So I could go on and on about grants, you guys know that, but I'm not gonna keep you on
I'll
that.
say, both of those are things that we had written this year because we did have some larger grants rolling
Yes.
off. And we don't want to go without those resources, so we have to immediately look for something to continue the good work that we're doing. So they were, both very important for that. We've also written the, Heather Taylor wrote the 21st Century Grant for us, but they have not, usually they are read and awarded the last week of July, and they have not even been read by the state yet, I don't think. They're not really sure how that funding is going to come down, or if it is. So our application is in for that grant, but we have no word about it yet. And obviously, you know that the 21st Century grants are very important to us.
So do we have a way to cover that?
Yes, we use almost all of our, a larger portion of our Title VI grant, and then Boys and Girls Club of Tahlequah, obviously is our partner and picks up a big portion of that. We are able to cover, a more limited program, with that, and we still have one 21st Century grant this year between Cherokee and Briggs, so that helps. But as you know, at one point we had 3 21st Century grants, the only district in the state to ever run, I think 3 simultaneously. And so that second one is very important to get back, so we are hoping that that process is gonna start with them. But the last I heard, I don't think they know, I don't think the office even knows,
I haven't heard
when that's going to really start. But we are committed to having the after-school program, and we're making it work even if we have to have a limited number of activities that second hour, or a little bit larger class sizes in after-school. We've been able to, and we'll continue to do that. We will this year, on part of our Go for Public School money. So, Ms. Walker had worked on that for years, getting us to get into that program where people can divert their tax dollars basically into something for school districts, and had a wonderful donation from the Help Bank family, that we'll be able to access that money to help pay for after-school teachers this year if needed.
That's good.
That's good. Oh, and one other grant that we are submitting on Friday is a TSET environment grant. And that is to redo some of the high school kitchen, the high school cafeteria. So I think we're trying to open it up a little more. There's only 2 lines right now. It's a little bit long for some of the kids, so we're hoping to open it up to have 4 lines. So we're working on that very hard in the next few days, and we'll push submit on that on Friday. So fingers crossed there too.
And because of all of that, our breaking of resources, we're able to offer a lot of special services through our outreach center and at our sites. We have our care teams, our school resource officers. We've added another DHS social worker partnership, which we're very excited about. Outreach center has moved. We are moved out of the White House and we are on the central location. We are, Liza and Amy made it look exactly like the White House. I mean, you wouldn't have even realized that they lived, but they are there. We do have people that are coming out. We have the sign out and school started. They've been coming to get some things, lots of things on Facebook that they've been able to see a need and fill a need for our families. We added Miss Abby Keys to our lineup and I think an overwhelming positive from our site. She has
absolutely.
brought a level of, from the admin perspective and her ability to track and document and just reach families, so we're very excited about that. With her adding to the team, we have assigned, Abby is at Greenwood and Cherokee, Miss Dawn Phillips is at Sequoia and Heritage, Arden Simpson is at middle school, and Katie Johnson is at the high school. So instead of them trying to travel to every building and every care team, they now have their specific locations that they're at, and they're really gonna get us some good data for our new grants. One of the things, our goals for the Outreach Center this year was to increase our community partnerships by 5. We did it by 6, because these ladies are amazing. They, not only do they do their site family nights, which is very impressive, they've been at least one of their site events, Title I events. Our numbers are in, Liza tracked that, all the principals sent that in, and we had 2,714 patrons visit one of our Title I family nights, which was blown away with that, and tied with the highest attendance was Greenwood for their block party and Cherokee for their picnic on the playground. So those were 2 events we were very, and HouseCon. HouseCon was just down by 10 as the other 2, but over 325 at each of those events, so that was very impressive. Some of the partnerships that we've been able to have, we were really excited about adding a sensory-friendly hour to our summer social. Good feedback from our families on that. We were able to do hidden in plain sight. We did a session for parents, and we also did a session for teachers, and I think the teachers were kind of scared.
I know, they like to know.
I was scared as a parent, seeing all the ways that kiddos can hide things, but it was very informative, so we were able to do that with some of our family money. We had a 5th grade parent night for our 5th graders that would be moving to the middle school. And then we always have our FAFSA nights, we have our social workers on hand to help, because that's hard to fill that out. Our community relations, we added 2 boards to our list. We added the Trot Board and Lake Area United Way. So those were 2 new partnerships we were able to add. We also added the community outreach event on May 3rd. We were able to do the first back to school haircut event last summer, but then this year it was on steroids. It was a very impressive event. And we added Step the Bus with Lake Area United Way. But one of our most treasured partnership is with our own Dr. Eversole's class and Prom on a Penny. Her class alone fills, I've got a number for you, let me find it. Number of backpacks that we distributed this year was insane, and they packed almost every one of them for us. We'll get to that slide in a minute. I can't read that, it's too small. Next slide, Robert. Another partnership that we started at the beginning of last year, but it is booming, and I don't know, Marissa, jump in here if you want to say anything about this, but Bright Futures has started Lunch Buddies at Cherokee, and it went amazing. They are going to continue that, but they've also added the interest clubs as
Yes,
part of that.
some of them are gonna start coming and helping with that. I talked to a gentleman last week, and he was excited because last year he ate with the kindergarten kids, and this year he was eating with 1st grade so that he could still see his his kids from last year. Several of the lunch buddies came to programs that our kids had. They just really connected with our kids, and it was a lot of fun.
It has our patrons coming in our buildings and seeing the needs and seeing all the amazing things going on, which in turn wants them to help support us through the outreach center. So they're donating their time, their money, their resources. So they've held a hygiene drive for us and stocked our backpack room is extremely full. They financially, they make donations and allow us to purchase some things that we might not be able to pay for out of our title monies.
Who are the members of Bright Futures?
It's anybody in the community. The board is Chrissy Eubanks, Michael Payne, Amy Spears, myself. We're getting ready to add 2 new high school students, Miley Boydston and Noah Barrett were our 2 high school students last year. They're seniors and graduated. And then Kim McCarthy from First Baptist Church.
There's an app that you can sign up on, and if they, I mean, I think they have so much already. I don't get them very often, but I do, and it'll be somebody needs a bicycle or
A tire for a bicycle.
Yeah, and so if they don't have like the funds to purchase it, or they don't already have the thing available, you get a message in the app, and anyone who signed up for it can say, hey, I've got that, and I mean, I think I've gotten 3 in the last year,
Well, and
because they
with
don't
our-
go out
With
very
our
often.
McKinney-Vento grant, we were really healthy on being able to purchase needs. It's just those random things that we can't buy with school funds that, like, I might have a battery donated or a tire donated for our families. They don't let me go buy batteries for cars with that, but. Yes. Yeah, you can't buy your mattresses. Talahoe Rotary Club is another partnership. We were able to do 140 Christmas food baskets last year, and we are very thankful for that, and our families look forward to that every year. Our clothing closet, washer and dryer available at every site. This is our district one that now every site has it, and they're growing and getting very impressive. If anyone wants to go see Arden Sampson, it's immaculate, and they are always looking for donations for that as well. Food pantries are available. We have that at the Outreach Center now, and you can contact Amy Spears or Kayla Johnson if you need access to that. Backpack program, there's our numbers. So we served 9,863 snack packs last year. So we averaged about 250 students a week. That is all community funded by donations. That does not come out of any of our funding. And it is all volunteers that fill those snack packs. And our student organizations help with that as well. Free meals for students, Lacey talked about this was it last month? But we got our number in, and it was 33,634 just on Wednesdays for June and July.
And then you had asked for the total number from last year, and so 655,332, that's a lot of meals.
That is impressive.
So, it's good.
Our 24-25 data from McKinney-Vento is 215 kiddos, and that is all work from Victoria and enrollment. Our principals and our social workers at the sites help us identify those, and then once they send that into a care team, we add them to our list. We had 19 students that were in a shelter, 137 students qualified as doubled up, living with another family due to a hardship. 25 students qualified as living in substandard or campgrounds. 36 students were staying in a hotel or motel, and 34 of those students were unaccompanied. And for the first year, I had 6 that were actually middle school or lower. Normally our unaccompanied are our high school kiddos, but we actually had a couple of families that had several kids that they were not living with their guardian. Once a tiger, always a tiger. Thank you guys for allowing us to do all the amazing things at the Outreach Center, and thank you Lacey and Tanya for getting the funds and grading them so we have.
Takes a village.
It does. And our village, the ladies at the sites are amazing.
I want to tell you guys, I had the Oklahoma Child Advocacy that was here last week or whatever. I had a lifelong friend that was on that from the city area. But I met that board, and all of them were just blown away about, because that you guys kind of presented special programs to them, and they were, I mean, they're like, we can't believe that your school can do all of that. And the Boys and Girls Club stuff, because we have it, we forget. When I tell people from other school districts that kids can go to school from 7:30 to 5:15 and it doesn't cost the parent anything, they're shocked, because, and I have, friends with school-age children who have to figure out what to do with them from 3:30 until they get off to work at 5, and they have to hire babysitters or pay part-time daycare or leave work. And when we say that, for working families, that our kids are for regular hours, that they don't have to pay for after-school care, and it is, I think we take it for granted how great it is because we're so used to it and we've been doing it for a long time. But I had the conversation with her because she was saying she's in Oklahoma City and her kid's in downtown, and she either has to leave every day at 3:30 or have someone to go pick her kid up and watch them after school. So, I hope that we can continue to get those grants to fund those programs because they're really, really important. And they were just blown away with
We say, it's nice to do the presentation because you forget all the things we have and then to like highlight what each of those ladies are able to accomplish in a year and see the numbers and stuff. We're blessed, and we've got the right people in the right places, and I think that makes a huge difference in what we're able to offer.
Are we still packing at the same place in the spring?
Yes, but hopefully in January, we will have all of that moved out of Central and into the personnel building right there with Amy.
Okay.
And that's its space back where they do like.
Let me ask you
testing right now.
this, if I change the time to 11 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock, will that,
We can accommodate that, no problem.
alright, gotta have that scheduling next week.
And guys, she puts this in her syllabus, this is like part of their assignment, they come and they own it, and they are a small group of mighty. And they
Yeah, I think
don't-
I'll have a few more this year, but last year there were only 4,
I still
and they
have,
packed 300 a week or
I
whatever.
have to reach out this summer and still, what can I do to help,
Oh,
do
that
you need help
one's
organizing those? I'm like, okay, these are lifelong relationships, I'm like, following you. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Well, that's exactly right, it's spiritual learning, you gotta do it.
And thank you all for continuing to look for the monies. When one source dries up, you don't just go, well, that's over. You start looking for another, that's impressive.
I do, I wanna say thank you to both of you and just point out that it really is that, thank you to Sabrina. We have the statistics that support being able to look at some of these funding sources. But what continues it is the good stewardship of the funds that we receive, that they are well managed, that we do everything we're supposed to with the funds. And we really are blessed. I've worked in districts where I've been a principal in a building where I didn't have an assistant principal and I didn't have a counselor, I did not have a nurse, I did not have an SRO. I didn't have any of the resources that we have here. Most places don't have what we have. And so I wanna, shout out to everyone that does a good job with those resources because that's why we continue to be able to get them. And they are so important to our students.
The real shout out needs to go to those site-based workers, Les and Amy. They're the boots on the ground doing that. Lacey and I want to help more, and we don't get to because Tammy keeps giving us new responsibilities. We really like doing that. I'm sorry, I have to.
Just say nice things about you.
Okay. Item G, superintendent's report.
So right now we have 502 employees. We have 3,675 kids enrolled. But we had present on Friday 3,468. So we have about 200 kids that are kind of in flux. Maybe haven't started but are going to be here, or maybe moved or got into a different school district. So in the next week or so, we do warm body counts is what we call it, every few days, and then eventually we start rolling those kids off of our roll, or we get records requests from other places. That's a few kids down, maybe a little bit more, about 100 kids down from where we started last year, but we had also gained 100 in October, so we're pretty good where we are right now. We do still have a few various spots for transfers at the elementary, but Sequoia, TMS, THS are completely full. We had talked about hours at the last meeting, I believe. And so each year we're required to report the number of days or hours that we're in session to the State Department. This year, 1,086 hours are required by law. That's up 6 from last year. This year's hours available for us that we have in our schedule, elementary and middle school are projected to have 1,183 hours, and the high school has 1,131 hours. Available. The difference in that is the high school has late start, that the other buildings do not, and there's also a few minutes that we stagger the end of the day, because middle school and high school getting out at the exact same time would be a nightmare. So we have a few minutes difference right there. So that gives us about 8 8 6-hour days needed for emergencies or weather events. We hope we don't have 8 missed days for weather or emergency events, but we do have those in our schedule if needed. Few project updates, the roof repairs around the district are complete, so we're super excited about that. The HVAC at the TMAC is complete, they're doing some fencing around those giant units and installing some automated controls still, but it's in, it's working well, it's really good. Barn complete, we just, we scheduled, I'll send you guys an invite after this meeting, are going to do a ribbon cutting a week from this Friday, whatever date that is. I'm not looking at a calendar. 29th, yes, on the 29th at 11, so I'll get you a calendar invite, see if you want to stop by for that. We're going to invite all the people that helped us make that possible. And there's a pretty good list of people that donated over, $5,000 towards that project, and we're gonna try to get them there to see what it is that they helped us do. The kids have been working on it and getting it all ready, pens are in. Carl, Mr. Wallace sent us a picture a few minutes ago about kids just sweating through work, and they're like, I don't think I should be sweating this much. They're like, it's okay, it's just like hard work and heat. They're not used to that. You'll be all right. Here's some water, kept them get hydrated. So those kids are helping finish it up right now, taking some good ownership. Armory, we talked about that a little bit. Renovations have begun. Demo is close to being finished. Most spaces with so if they're being renovated, it's almost complete. We haven't come across anything horribly concerning yet, which is always a worry when you take down walls in an old facility. But we have found and knew that bringing up the spaces to updated fire code is definitely the most expensive part of the renovation that, is not taking us by surprise. But as we've gone through it, it's a little bit more expensive, but we knew that on the GMP. But we do want it to be safe, obviously, for everyone that's in the building. So, going well. Bond 2025, that school bond election is quickly approaching. It's 21 days from today. Mr. Reed has the ability to say a word that I don't have the ability to say. So that's why he has been visiting our meetings. But really, we just want to get out. It's going to make a difference for every site. And it's not a tax rate increase. It is just a continuation of the tax rate that has been in play and the community has supported for over 20 years at this point. Students will benefit from safety, facilities, athletics, arts, transportation, technology. We have a website. Robert got us a website, a link at the top of our website if you want to see the video, if you want to see renderings. We started a social media campaign basically yesterday. And so I've got something lined out every day for the next 21 days. So I apologize ahead of time. Well, I'll take the weekends off, so really it's just the work days. But all registered voters that live in our school district will have multiple opportunities to vote. If you can't vote in person, then you can ask for an absentee ballot. You also can vote early on September 4th and 5th. And then of course the election day is September 9th. Do want to point out school bonds require a 60% supermajority to pass. And so every person's vote is important. What will hurt us more than anything else is voter apathy or someone else will go do it. We need you to go vote on September 9th. Couple other things, great start to the year. I asked a couple questions about how the cell phones are going, and I'm gonna not talk about it any more than that because I don't wanna jinx how it's gone so far. Tells you a little bit about how it's going. It was a very good start to the year. A few bumps in minor places, we worked it out. The building's full of people, full of teachers, full of kids, and we just enjoyed getting them back into our buildings. Just want to make sure that you guys understand that we work really hard to stay informed about current information in education, and that's imperative for us. So a few members of our staff were able to attend a state governance conference in late July. A few of us will be attending OSSBA here in a few weeks. I had the privilege of leading a session at the COSA conference in June. I'm going to get to do that again at OSSBA in September. I and others, when they can, attend weekly Zooms with COSA. I attend OSAC monthly meetings. Dan usually goes with that as well. Nikki and I are going to go to DC in September to the Impact Aid event in Washington DC to meet with our elected officials in other districts across our country. It's very important that we keep a seat at the table and an ear to the ground to know what is going on. Some upcoming dates, the community pep rally is on the 25th at 7:30. That is next Monday, right? And then Mr. Reed mentioned the Area Chamber of Commerce Community Roundtable event. They had the first one last spring and it was at the Armory, and so they had to move it to another place and it's under construction. But it was just a group of people in the community that came together and literally like it sounds, everyone sat and people took turns at asking questions, and I think they'll have a good focus on what's going on in our school district on this. August 29th is our first home football game, and we will have a full-scale assault on showing our renderings. We've got some vote on September 9th t-shirts made for those of us that are going to work that evening, and we're just going to get the information out to all of our families. We have no school on September 1st. A few of you are going with me to OSSBA on September 4th through the 6th. We already talked about on September 9th, we're all going to vote. And then on September 10th, we're going to celebrate, speaking it into existence. And then on September 18th, this next regular board meeting is on Thursday. You guys allowed us to edit that date so I could attend that conference in Washington DC. So that's my report for the week.
How many did you say were employed? I didn't hear that number.
502.
And how many kids showed up?
We had 3,468 present on Friday.
Any other discussion or questions? Very annoying fly.
I know, it's getting all, it's circling us. It's because we're so sweet.
Item H, discussion and vote to approve the following surplus items from the board building and from Alabama Middle School. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion on any of these items? Mrs. Nima.
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And I. Item I, and I'm going to make this motion because I'm going to make a correction. Business items, make a motion on business items, consent docket vote to approve the following, and it is 1 through 3. Under 1, contracts and agreements, we will go to IH, supplemental services contract with Haley Layman's State Athletics to provide choreography for middle school, and that should be cheer rather than.
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Aye. Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. Aye. Item J, discussion and vote to approve the schedule of encumbrances, 1 general fund and 2 building fund. A motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Neva.
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And aye. Item K, vote to ratify the negotiated agreement with TESPA for the 2025-26 school year.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Would you like to enlighten us on the
There were not-
negotiations?
There were not very many changes this year on any of these very uncertain about funding from the state and from the federal government. And we also knew that we had the first full year without any of the COVID ESSER money all out of our budgets. So as you know, we had looked and trimmed as much as
Yes.
possible. And then we were very careful until we know where we stand. So we are in a very good point, but everyone was, the step was part of it, raise was part of it. And we did freeze the attendance stipend for all 3 groups for the year. That's a yearly thing anyways, but we did freeze that. I know we've talked about that, and there's a difference of opinion of probably whether it's something you ever want. I think there are other ways that we could incentivize our employees for their good work, and we'll talk about that throughout the year. But those are the big things that happened this year.
Any further discussion on that? Mrs.
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford, and I. L, vote to ratify the negotiated agreement with TEA for the 2025-26 school year. Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Just
That, what I said would
What
apply
was
to all
in
3,
all
yes.
3, yeah. And also I want to note that, as you said with negotiations, I think our staff and faculty are aware of the situation with monies and have been very reasonable and
Absolutely,
understanding.
absolutely. Very good groups to work with.
Yes. Any other discussion? Mrs. Nemo.
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford, and I. Item M, vote to approve, meet and confer agreement, administrative supervisory personnel for the 2025-26 school year. Motion?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
There's pretty much mirrors what TEA, what TESPA would as well. The step, no raise, attendance stipend, because that applied to all of them as well. So the only person in the district that does not apply to the attendance stipend is me. That pretty much summed that up. We did it a little bit differently this year, where we put out more individual meetings to talk, so that the group, it's always been done in a way where the value of those positions is discussed as a group. It's not something that I necessarily agree with, and that is something that I had the ability to change from where I'm sitting at this point. And so we will meet with the people that are in that negotiating group individually, if they so choose to talk about their position. If TEA is our certified staff, TESPA is our support staff, and this other group is anyone in an administrative or an administrator role. They don't fall in one of those other 2 groups, but they belong to something, and so they belong to that group. Just to explain to those of you in the room that might not understand what we're talking about.
So to minimize the comparison
Yes, ma'am.
of positions and salaries and
Everyone that works here,
is
support,
invaluable,
certified,
yes.
administrative are valuable, and we all bring something to the table. And none of it can be done without all of us. And so we want to always approach working conditions, salary, in a way that is equitable and loving and appreciating of those who are working so hard for us.
any other discussion?
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford, and I. N, discussion and vote to approve statutory waiver deregulation application for library media specialist at Heritage Elementary School for the 2025-26 school year. motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just had a quick comment, did y'all watch the last State Board of Education meeting?
I did not.
So there was a board member who on both library deregulation and emergency certification talked about how she had called districts who were applying for those and asked them questions. She had also looked at their websites to see whether or not they had advertised those positions, and she was very interested in what the applications looked like, and a lot of them look exactly the same because they, I think, has just been automatically approved, and so we might wanna take a look at that before we actually submit it, because she's dotting her i's and crossing her t's, which is a good thing to do, but I've never seen them ask about those, talk about those, and they were going to table some of them, except they had schools saying, we start school, this was for the certification, but it was the same, she approached both of them the same, and they're like, if we don't get these, and we start school in August, and we don't have another meeting until then, these people can't teach, and hers were mainly on the emergency certification, but she also talked about on the, library that she was, looking at those in great detail, so.
So do we have to advertise if we fill from within?
We do not if we fill from
We can fill within and then advertise that position if we don't have within to fill that.
I think the advertisement was more on the emergency certification because there were schools that were seeking to emergency certify teachers, and then you went and looked on their websites and they didn't have jobs open, and she thought that didn't jive, because why, you're seeking emergency certification saying we can't find a teacher to teach this,
But you have
but they didn't have open positions for those, but she had some similar comments on the, there were several of the library ones on there too, and just, it was something that she was taking an interest in and was paying attention to. Haven't heard from her, she was calling schools.
You need to be aware.
We have not, but we do, we
Every one
advertise
of ours
for all of the
have
jobs.
so far. We're down to 2, so that makes me scared. These 2 are going on the September meeting.
And I looked at our application and it had, I think, more than some of the, because when you see the agenda for the state meeting, those applications are in there. And some of them were one sentence, and even one, there was a note that it had obviously been copied and pasted because it had the wrong person's name in it from the last time they had saw that, and, but that is something that some new state board members they're reading their packets.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm glad they are. Okay, any further discussion? Mrs.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve the following personnel items, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make this motion and 4. And 4. And 4, thank you. And I will make this motion, and under item 2, employment, the following names. Kara Peters, paraprofessional. Janelle Meggs, part-time para-sub. Laura Deason, school nurse. Haley Dubin, ALS, special para. Leanne Hogan, part-time para-sub. And there's a change on Paola, Z from, she's going to special care para. Is that correct? Correct. Okay. Rather than part-time sub in certification. Marina Anderson, sped teacher pending cert. Antonio Trey Young, special care para. Lanice Dorlack, band instructor. Jackson Catron, special care para. Roberta Zimmelman, sped teacher, and Amanda Duncan, special care para. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Really happy to see that we found a band instructor.
Yes.
Yes, because that's sort of unusual at this time.
She's excited. She's the one that we shared with the kids. And they are excited. She's been out there. She's excited to work in both buses. hard to find someone that likes to do that split and,
She was one of our former students, Lenise Belcher was her name, so that's definitely remembers her.
I was so excited to see her. She was such an awesome kid.
And it's so nice to have people excited to come in and teach and excited to be here. So it's good for the kids and everyone. Any further discussion? Mrs. Bean, aye. Mr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. Aye. P, new business. We have no minutes. And item Q, we have adjourned. Good job.